Welcome to the Hell of the North, also known as Paris-Roubaix, a race across the north of France with lots and lots of cobblestones. We're taking it a long way from the finish here because a big attack has just gone off the front a few Ks ago. Jay has joined us once again on the broadcast, the manager of the Vallnord team. He is with us for La Flèche Wallonne. And a very interesting move has gone off about 5 kilometers ago. Some strong riders on cobblestones, including Jamal Safari of the Futura Forestall team. I think he's got a teammate in that group, Yan Feng, and there's another group of riders even further in front of them. So the race is starting to break up already. And this is a race that Vallnord will not be very successful in, I don't think at least. Would you like to expand upon your team's chances, Jay?
Yes, so I believe my team, to put it lightly, is an underdog, and not even just an underdog, just I'd be extremely surprised to see if I saw one of my riders get in the top 10, any of them, I'd be immensely pleased. This course is very disadvantageous to what my strategy of the team would be, just because mostly in terms of terrain, any terrain but cobblestone, my riders, the goal was for them to expand upon that. But cobblestone was not really accounted for. My riders have pretty decent stats, however, they do not really necessarily answer for cobblestone necessarily. So I do believe my team's at a great disadvantage. Can they pull something off? I don't necessarily know and don't think so. But hey, we'll see what happens in the race.
Well, you have a rider here in this front group. It's about to come together, but Sofian Germuni, Levi Kennedy, and Emil Meyer were the first 3 attackers. So they've been off the front since the 200 plus kilometers to go mark, which is a very long way from the finish. And a counter move with Ludwig Kona, Casper Bosmans, Eloisa Donna, Tristan Bromes, Jamal Safari, Jens de Perth, and I think another rider's up in there for Castelli. That was the counter move we talked about earlier. They attacked with around 140 Ks to go. And these cobbled sectors all have names, and they're rated in difficulty from 1 stars to 5 stars. 5 stars being the hardest, and 1 stars not to be taken very seriously. Now the one team that has really missed out on these attacks is the Sismic team, and that is why they have 3 riders working at the front, including their secondary leader, Ruslan Tamirzanov. That's a flat tire for Jonathan Kaiser. But the Sismic team really needs to get this race under control because rival teams like AlphaTauri, Euskaltel Euskadi, Futura Forestall, and Castelli all have riders in that front group. And the Jupiler team as well. So no reason for those teams to chase behind in the peloton. It is all up to Sismic. I think Hackett too needs to do some chasing as well.
So let me ask you this. So I remember you telling me, Charles, that this race is a pretty much superhuman race in terms of endurance and ability to adapt to the cobblestone. So in terms of compatibility and adaptability for each team, what would you say are each person's kind of game plan for the cobblestone, or not necessarily even game plan, but what is their response to cobblestone? I understand that Kyoto, because I've been paying a decent amount of attention to them, is mainly time trial oriented. So I'm wondering how them and other teams will adapt to the cobblestone.
A lot of it depends on race tactics. If you only have one rider who's good on cobblestones, it's going to be very hard for you because you pretty much can't take any agency in the race. You can't really attack because you have no teammates to stall a chase or to counterattack or anything like that. So team strength is very, very important. So the teams in this breakaway, for example, Castelli and Jupiler, they have 2 riders here. That is a really big advantage because they have multiple riders to chase down attacks. They can also launch attacks themselves and have another rider in reserve. So it's really a strength in numbers type of race. And it's a race that incentivizes you to be aggressive within the context of your team. Now Jamal Safari kind of just going balls to the wall here with his counterattack with no teammates. That's just a Chad move. But realistically, the teams that are best set up to succeed in this race are Euskaltel Euskadi, because they have a strong rider in this front group, and about 4 other extremely strong cobbled riders behind them. And Jupiter as well, they have 2 good riders up here. But we're on to the Trouet d'Allenberg, one of the 3 5-star sections on the course, a long straight road, and this will do a bit of damage to the 2 main groups. And you've seen it already because riders being dropped. Meyer, Kennedy, and Germuni, they are gone from this group, the 3 early attackers. And the breakaway, they are through the 5-star section, right as the peloton hits it.
So I could be wrong, but I think it ultimately comes down to knowing when to really ramp up the pace and having the consistency at the same time. So being able to not only keep a consistent pace on the cobblestone, but knowing really when to attack and take advantage of the terrain switch or really taking advantage of other riders' positioning. What are your thoughts on that?
I would tend to agree. You just have to be adaptable with your tactics, just play it by ear. And Heinrich Kromer there, a very strong ally for Luigi Belle. He's got a flat tire, but he's back in the group. Try and work his way towards the front here. And AlphaTauri need to be very productive in this race because they need to gain points on Vallnord and Kyoto, and this is a big chance to do so with Luigi Belle. In AlphaTauri, they had a rider in that front group, which was Levi Kennedy, but he's been dropped now. And I think they need to come to the front and start pulling back that breakaway. Because their rider that was up there, here he is now in no man's land with Sofiane Germuni. No more AlphaTauri riders in this front group of 7. So that team now needs to join Sismic to try and bring this group back.
So the one thing I will say about my team that I really do like in terms of cobblestone, that I think is sort of unaccounted for in terms of statistics and stuff, from what I've seen in past races, what's ultimately gotten my teams the wins is not the superior statistics, is not necessarily anything necessarily superior in the kind of outer look of the riders in terms of their stats, like I said, and other factors. I would say that it more comes down to when to attack. My team knows when to attack, they do it efficiently, and they get away with it.
And the sprinting, not to be underrated because you've won 2 important races by that method, Milan-San Remo and Ghent-Wevelgem. Now Ludwig Kona has gotten a flat tire, and that is a big blow to Castelli because they had 2 riders in that front group of 7. It's now down to 6 riders and 1 less Castelli rider. And I'm not sure they're going to wait for Ludwig Kona to come back and join them. We're just under 75 Ks to go, so it's still plenty of time to bring back that breakaway, but this peloton, down to 40 riders already. There's not a lot of firepower, and a lot of the riders in that peloton way too tired to do any of the pacemaking. And you see this gap to the peloton, it's I think close to 5 minutes now, which in a one-day classic, that is a more significant time gap than it is, oh it's 4.5 minutes, excuse me. It can be hard to bring back breakaways in the one-day races, unlike a stage race where things are a bit more controlled. And Zafari has done a lot of the towing of this group all by himself, despite no teammates. See these Jupiler riders not too eager to take their turns. And for those who don't know, when you ride at the front of a group like this, you actually spend more energy because you are taking most of the win. That is why the drafting is so important. But they're on to another cobbled section, one that I will not try to pronounce. Twisting and turning, and that gap to the peloton is still increasing. The next 5-star section is coming up in around 15 kilometers time. It's the Monzon-Pebel. And then from there, the last one around 20 kilometers from the finish, the Carrefour de l'Arbre. And there's Sismic with Glenn Martins, that's their team leader, who's already having to do the pacemaking a very long way from the finish. This team is in crisis mode in Paris-Roubaix because they wanted to win this race. They missed the big attacks. Rosan Tamirzanov and Emmerich Alexander already spent, and that leaves Glenn Martins, the last of the Sismic riders capable of doing anything in this race. We'll have to see if any Vallnord riders are still here, but wouldn't be surprised if they're all gone. So what do you think of this disarray with the Sismic team? They've really missed out, and they're all looking about cooked at this point.
find it fairly interesting. I mean, for me, I would not really necessarily. I mean, in this course, because of the cobblestones and because there's more likelihood of accidents, yes, I expect there to be a little disarray. However, because there is that expectancy of disarray, I expect there also to be adaptation to counter that. So I'm a little surprised, yes.
Well, AlphaTauri have adapted, and they have sent Luigi Belli, their team leader, on the attack. They had a rider in the early breakaway of Levi Kennedy. He has since been dropped, and he may have been caught at this point. And with the gap still over 4 minutes, their solution to send Luigi Belli up the road. They know that a lot of other teams are not going to chase because they have riders in the breakaway. Sismic not strong enough to pull him back. I think this is a very intelligent move by AlphaTauri. And of course, Luigi Belli now, he will be in no man's land all by himself. He'll hope that another rider can join him. They can work together a little bit. But a very tall task to catch up to this group. Because that's Ludwig Kona right there, who's 2 minutes in front of Belli, and then a further 2.5 minutes in front of that, it's this group right here. So the gap to the peloton, around 5 minutes with 51 Ks to go. This might not come back, Jay.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know. I mean, I am fairly unfamiliar with the cobblestone courses, just because, like I said, my team has not necessarily been designed to counteract this course. Like I said, the only thing that really gives my team even a 1/1000th of a chance is them knowing when to attack. And then that just shows their kind of IQ and intelligence in terms of what to do by themselves and how to adapt to their own kind of specialties. But yeah, I am very unsure of what's going to happen, just because this is such a, as you said to me before this race, a superhuman kind of race. It's very amazing. It tests a lot of different kind of factors for different riders.
Look what he's doing here. He just put himself on the front on the Monzon Pével, that 5-star section, and he's dropped everybody. And he has gotten rid of everybody pretty much except Tristan Romes. A real show of force there. Now this is the problem for the breakaway, is because despite their advantage, they have been off their front for so long. They've had to take turns in the wind. They've worked really hard, and they're just going to be really tired at this point. Completely overcooked, and still a long way from the finish. And you see counter moves coming here. Glenn Martins has attacked with Victor Petruskevicius and another Euskaltel rider. Joe Vorstal want to bring these guys back. So this is where things can fall apart for early attackers. The endurance factor really will come into play here. And Jamal Safari, clearly the strongest of the breakaway riders, and I think his biggest challenge at this point will be counter-attackers like these three right here, and Luigi Belli, who's over 1.5 minutes in front of these other riders. There he is. Still around 3 minutes behind the group of Jamal Safari, but we're under 40 Ks to go now. There's a second chase group with Leclerc Dona and Oscar Galati, and 1 minute in front of them. Jamal Safari, Casper Bosmans, and Tristan Romes, but Jamal Safari I think is going to lead these two pretty soon.
So what I will say, another thing that I did realize, is since my team is mostly or partly divided into a climber composition, I do believe that may come as an advantage, because since cobblestone has this very kind of challenging adaptation to make in terms of terrain, I believe that even though it might not be necessarily a hilly terrain, that my riders might be able to adapt to the cobblestone because they are so used to adapting to the incline of a course. So I believe that transition may serve very importantly, because if you just go out too fast, you're just pretty much inting or kind of giving away victory, because you're going to burn out in the long run, and because cobblestone is a very hard to maintain a consistently fast pace over the whole course.
I do have to disagree though, because little climbers they don't have that inner and physical strength to just completely demolish the challenging cobblestones. It takes a lot of raw power to do so. little climbers, they may be able to adapt to some extent. They could follow wheels, but when the big attacks happen, they just don't have that leg strength to follow. And we're entering the Siswang Bordel section, and Jamal Safari. The advantage of this group to counter-attackers has definitely come down because Luigi Belle is closing in. He's only 2 minutes away now. Need to see that time gap to that counter-attack of Landau, Petruska Vicious, and Martins. It's under 2 minutes. It's coming down very quickly. The remnants of the peloton only 2.5 minutes behind Jamal Safari's group here. So it could come back after all. 24 Ks to go. Glenn Martins has attacked again. Onto a 3-star section here. The two Euskaltel riders, in fact one of them's gone. It's Belle, Petruska Vicious, and Martins have linked up together. Here's what's left of the peloton. It's only 11 riders, so I wouldn't call it that anymore. Say they're more of a chase group now. 21 kilometers to go. And that, if you see a group up the road, that's the chase group with Donna and Gulati. The next group, which you can see in the distance, that is the front group of 3. This race is coming back together with 20 Ks to go. Onto the Confant en Pével, 4-star section. Tristan Rome's sensing the urgency. He's very tired, but he knows he has to work together with these other two if they want to give themselves a chance to stay away. An early breakaway is a bit of a suicidal effort in Paris-Roubaix. It's all a team game, but they still have a chance. Onto Carrefour de l'Arbre, the last 5-star section. Safari, as he did before in Mons en Pével, he's going to do the damage himself. Rome's is gone, Bosman's is gone. It's a solo effort now for the Albanian rider. One of the big disappointments of the season in terms of points scored, and he can make up for all of it now with a heroic ride in Paris-Roubaix. He leads the next group of Petruska Vicious and Martins by 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, let me just say, I have absolute respect for Safari. So far, we have not seen any point of the race so far lack of initiative from Safari. So I'm very impressed, actually, even though that he may not be a part of my team.
Just pure power and aggression, and he attacked with 140 kilometers to ride. The strong group of riders. Here's that main chase group. They're around 2 minutes behind him. There's 11 Ks to go. If Safari can sustain his pace and not crack in the final 10 Ks, he could win this race, and that would be one of the most astonishing physical feats of the season so far. We're getting counterattacks in this second group here. Bosmans and Rome's going at each other now. Willems Ahem, the last of the serious coupled sections here. Under 10 Ks to go. Safari still looks pretty good. Just trying to keep those pedals ticking. Oh, but he's starting to look tired now. Look at him, the shoulders are rocking. He can't raise his pace anymore. He just has to suffer through it and hope that the others don't have the legs to get back up to his wheel. The gap around 2 minutes still. 6 Ks to go. And the Almond, the manager of Futura Forrestal, watching with great anxiety here. He's had so many near misses in these one-day races. Remember, Virgil Lazarescu and the Omloop Newsblad got caught in the final kilometer of his heroic breakaway. Into the velodrome now. They do 1.5 laps. Under 5 Ks to go, Safari. Oh, he's trying, but he's suffering. Marcel Lefay is counterattacked with an AlphaTauri rider. Probably Luigi Belle here. Oh, and the gap's coming down really fast. 1 minute with under 2 Ks to go. Still a fierce sprint in mind from the chasing riders, but Safari, he's trying to hold them off. Under 40 seconds now, the advantage. Look at Lefay and Belle as well. They're going to sprint for under 1K to go. Belle has cracked. It's under 30 seconds, but they won't catch him. Jamal Safari, a signature victory. Legendary performance for Futura Forrestal. A true fairy tale victory. You just can't win any better than that. 140 kilometer attack. He dropped everybody on the cobblestones and survives and foils all the big favorites. That'll serve him right.
I am very impressed, despite, as I said, he may not be a part of my team, but that initiative, that consistency throughout the whole race, very impressive. Very impressed with that. Definitely well-deserved.
Show of force, individual performance unlike any we've seen all season. And that's including Samuel Udon's ride in Strada Bianca. A tremendous solo effort, and that is going to rapidly change the standings here because Jupiler, I think, had 2 riders in the top 5. We'll take a look at the standings now because a reminder of these monument races, you get 850 points for winning instead of 500, and the top 30 riders score instead of the top 20. So these races worth a huge chunk of points, and that leaderboard is going to look a lot different, I think. In first place, Jamal Safari of Detroit Forestall. His incredible breakaway survives by just 16 seconds ahead of Marcel Lefebvre in second place and Luigi Belle in third. Otis Grimsby of Hackett in 4th place, 30 seconds behind, with Victor Pakuskevicius. Glenn Martins in 7th place at 48 seconds, Casper Bosmans 8th at 1 minute 37. Tristan Romes was 9th in the same time, and Egon Callas 10th. Heinrich Kromer of AlphaTauri in 11th place, 1 minute 57 seconds back. Eloise Adona 12th for Jupiler. Jerome Moykin was 13th, Florence Haas 14th, and Stefan Landau rounds out the top 15. He was close to 3 minutes behind Jamal Safari. Well, not the worst day ever, because you've scored some meaningful points, Jay. Jerome Moykin's got you 84 points for his 13th place. Not bad at all. Also had a rider in that early break with Sofiane Germuni. But I think the part that everyone's really interested in, how has this monument race shaped the new leaderboard? And we'll look at it now. In first place, Kyoto still leads. They have close to 5,200 points. AlphaTauri is now up to second place with 4,700. Vallnord down to third with 4,484 points. And Hackett fourth with 4,047 points. Sismic fifth with 3,235. And Jupiler, with their incredible performance here today as a team, multiple riders in the top 10, they are now up to 6th place with 3,150 points. And that is a big surprise because everyone thought they would be the worst team. But look at them in the middle of the pack now. Detroit Forestall finally out of the cellar. They're up to 7th place thanks to that tremendous victory by Jamal Safari. So a lot to digest there. This leaderboard looks a lot different heading into the Giro d'Italia. Any initial thoughts, Jay?
I am a bit startled to see that my second place is now third place. Very startled and very kind of shaken. I am very taken aback because I really believed that I would hold a solid second place and hopefully make the transference to first. So looking at this, definitely a lot to talk over my team and hopefully get a game plan to really send forth and to making sure my team gets first.
We have a real chance to gain back some points in the Giro d'Italia, the first Grand Tour. It's a stage race with 21 stages, with flat stages, time trials, hilly stages, and mountains. A little something for everybody. And this race with lots of flat stages, great for your 2 sprinters. And Chongling Shen really needs to show up in those mountains and challenge for a high finish overall. So that race will take up the next few weeks of the VeloTour. If not the next month, it's going to be the talk of the town. Hopefully we get some other guests to join us for the broadcast. Thank you for joining us for these 2 races, Jay. It's been a pleasure. We'll see if your team continues their great success in the Giro. Thank you everyone else for watching. We'll see you next time for our first Grand Tour.